Oh my God, guys, it was the worst fake I've ever seen in my life. And it looked off. It was a red flag with handles. Hey everyone, welcome to another video. So I had a very interesting request, actually from one of my Patreons. And what she wanted to know, I thought, well, this is like a wide enough topic. I'm going to talk about it on the main channel. And it's to do with bags I wish I bought, like bags that I feel I missed out on. And do you know something? You're going to be actually maybe mind blown to know that I've changed. I'm a changed person. There are many bags I'm glad I didn't buy, and there are not many bags that I wish I did. If you'd gone back 5 years and said to me, are there any bags you wish you bought before the price rise? I could have given you a list like this, you know. Now, actually, that list is greatly reduced, if not reduced to nothing. I feel as though I'm more into like nice experiences. I was saying on my Patreon that I went out for dinner on Thursday with some friends, and we went to this restaurant we've always wanted to go to. It's quite expensive, but it was so worth it despite the price. And I'm glad that I did that over buying, let's say, a piece of costume jewellery that would have cost the same amount, you know? I'm glad that I did that. And the same thing with travel as well, is I don't know how many of you feel the same. Maybe it's just me getting older, but I'm like, I feel like I've got everything, all of the stuff that I need. And, you know, just to show you this bag, this is a bag that I bought very recently. I'm using it a lot actually, because it's like canvas, it's like waterproof. It's actually very durable. But I'm not spending the way that I used to. And I think it's due to the economy. I want to save more. I'm investing more. I'm traveling more. I'm eating out more. I'm having those experiences over buying luxury. But what I thought I would do is talk to you about bags I'm really glad I didn't buy. And actually not just even bags, like stuff I'm glad I didn't buy. So the first thing is the Chanel Gabrielle. I feel like this bag was really big, you know, back in around about 2017. And I was very tempted by it. It wasn't super expensive. And it was sweet. The only thing I didn't like about it, and I spoke about this at the time, but the base of it, to me, looks like a woman's hygiene product. To me, that's kind of how, you know, the shape. I don't know how many of you agree, maybe you don't. I don't really like how it looks now. You know, I've grown out of it. I look at it and I'm like, it doesn't actually look that nice, in my opinion, and I don't wish to offend anyone that owns and loves that bag. I already know I've got stuff that some of you think is absolutely gross, and I respect that. But that's just my opinion. I look at that bag and I'm like, I don't like how it looks. It also is not a bag that holds its money. And I do own bags that don't hold their money. Like, for example, this may or may not hold its money, but I bought it because I love it. With the Gabrielle, I was always sort of on the fence with it. So that's the first thing. The next thing is the Chanel, I think it's called the 19 bag. I was very tempted by this when it first came out, and I nearly went for it. And do you know, there's another Chanel bag that I nearly went for. What's the one that looks like a sack? And you can get it in different sizes. I nearly went for the 19, but I didn't. And I'm glad I didn't. I don't really like how it looks, you know. I feel like I've gone quite off it. I don't really love the way it looks. And I don't like the slouchy nature of it. And with that bag that looks like a sack, I forget the name of that bag. What is that bag called? I don't have my phone, so I can't see. But I feel like for me, that's another bag that I probably would have ended up not using. And I was looking at getting it in the smallest size, the one that had the chains and the pearls hanging off it. But I'm glad that I didn't get it, because for me, I quite like a structured bag, and that's really not. The next bag I'm really glad that I didn't buy is the Louis Vuitton Speedy. Now, this was a bag that I I don't like the bag anymore. Haven't liked it for a long time, actually. But it's a bag that I really considered in around 2012, 2013. It was just about within budget, and I felt like you got a lot of bag for the money. And I think you do, you know. I do think that, you know, obviously the price has gone up on it, you know, quite a lot. But I feel as though I feel as though it's a bag that is faked a lot, that doesn't hold its shape, so it can look quite scruffy. In my opinion, it doesn't look, it's not like this where it really holds its shape, but then this would, because it's smaller. You know, the larger size ones, I can't comment, they might not. Okay, the next, it's pretty much anything from Bottega. And actually, I'm talking more about their bags than I am anything else. I've got a few Bottega items. I've got a couple of pairs of shoes, which I bought and I loved, but now I look at them and they're quite weird. And I actually had a clear out the other day and I looked at these shoes and I did think, why did you buy those? They're a bit weird. They're cute, but would I wear? I don't even know anymore. I bought them back in COVID times because they came out, they were new, and I fell in love. And now I look at them and I'm like, why did you do that? But I was looking at the cassette bag. So I liked the Jodie and I bought the Jodie. Didn't get on with the Jodie at all. It was too small and it had the zip on it was so stiff you couldn't really open or close it very well. And it was a bag that I stopped using really entirely. And it's a shame because that bag was basically brand new. I wore it twice. I wore it once to a party and then once out for dinner, and on both occasions it wouldn't zip closed. I couldn't get my stuff into it. That zip was annoying. So, and I sold it and I made a loss on that bag, which, you know, as I say with Bottega, that does tend to be the case. You're not going to make a profit on Bottega. But I was looking at the cassette bag when I bought the Jodie and I looked at it and I thought, oh, maybe I really want this bag. And I didn't get it. And again, I'm so glad I didn't buy that bag, because I don't like it anymore. And I know it would be a bag that if I'd sold it, I wouldn't have got my money back on it. Or if I still had it right now, it would be collecting dust. I wouldn't be using it. One thing that I've started doing a lot in the last few years that I didn't used to do before is if I saw something and I loved it, particularly if I was told, oh, it's the last one, I would tend to rush in and buy. And now I will look at something multiple times before I decide to buy. There are so many things that I've looked at buying and I've thought, no, Sophie, don't jump in. Think about it. I have like a 3 to 4 week rule. If after that time you're still thinking about it, then it's a good idea. But for the amount of times, if you engage this rule, guarantee you the amount of times that after a couple of days you're over it, it will actually astound you. So if you're trying to cut down on buying things you stop using, try that rule. Another one that I'm glad I didn't get, and I talk about it a lot on here, to be honest, like so much you're going to be sick of it, but Van Cleef and Cartier, the bracelets, the necklaces, etc. As I've said like a million times before, going back to around about, I think it was 2016. Yes, it was 2016. I looked at the Alhambra range from Van Cleef. I nearly bought into it. And in some ways I wish I did now, because it was so much cheaper and it was not mainstream. But in other ways I'm glad I didn't, because I feel as though that stuff is overplayed now. I feel like there's a lot of things that end up overplayed and it just makes it not as exciting as perhaps it should be, given how much this stuff is. And I feel the same way with the love bracelet, and also, is it the Justin Clou? Is that the name of the bracelet that looks like a screw around your wrist? Very pretty. If David came up to me for my birthday and gave me any 3 of those pieces, I would love them. But I wouldn't go out and spend my own money, and I'm glad that I didn't. And now the final thing that I'm glad I didn't buy, but I did buy it, but there's a twist, is the Louis Vuitton Neverfull. Again, this was a bag that was on my mind a lot. And I thought at the time, I was like, oh, I want to get this bag for the gym. Because at the gym I go to, a lot of people use designer stuff, so it wouldn't stick out like a sore thumb kind of thing. Anyway, I looked at this bag and couldn't quite justify buying it new, because particularly in the larger size, which is what I wanted it in, it's a bag that flips and flops and collapses in on itself, and the handles are really thin and they feel really flimsy and blah, blah, blah. And the more you use it, the softer it gets and the more it collapses in. It's not a great bag. But anyway, I looked at it new, couldn't quite do it. So I went and looked pre-loved, and I looked on eBay. The first bag that I bought, I went over to the house of the person that was selling it. She wanted quite a lot of money to ship it, I guess because of the value. And she wasn't that far away, so I went over. And I saw this bag. Oh my God, guys, it was the worst fake I've ever seen in my life. It was so bad. So bad. And I knew the dimensions of the small, medium and large. Never fools. And when I got there, I had my tape measure, and I already knew it was fake just by looking at it, but I measured it, and it was neither a medium nor a large. It was somewhere in between. And it looked off. It was a red flag with handles. It was brand new as well, but there was no receipts. It just didn't make sense. And I said to her, I'm not comfortable taking this bag because I feel like, the way I remember now, I was like, it's neither a medium nor a small on the measurements. So I didn't outright say to her, it's fake, because that would have been quite, aggressive. But I just alluded to that fact. Anyway, she didn't deny it. She, if that was real, you would just be like, how dare you? It's real. It was an unwanted gift, or whatever people say. She didn't deny it. And actually, she was quite embarrassed and gave me my money back there and then. And I left and I didn't take the bag. But then I went on eBay and I bought another one. And this one was real. And I took it to Louis Vuitton and they verified it for me. Because even though I knew it was real, I thought I just wanted them to check. And I met a really nice guy there who was like, sure, I'll do that for you. And he did it. And he was like, yeah, you've got the real thing. Great. It didn't work for me, that bag. As I say, it flip-flopped. The handles felt really flimsy on it. When I loaded it up, they dug into my shoulders. Just wasn't a great bag. In the end, I actually gave it to a subby who was telling me she'd been robbed and they'd taken hers off her. And I thought, well, I'm not using mine, so you can have it. So I posted it to her, and I hope she's still enjoying it, actually. That was a few years ago now. But another bag that I did end up buying, not new though, and I wish I didn't. What can I say? I wish I didn't buy that bag, but I did. So they are my sort of regret, non-regrets, because I'm glad I didn't do it in the first place. Let me know what you think. Do you think there is anything that I've looked at in the past that I've maybe forgotten about, that I looked at and didn't end up getting? Let me know what you think. I would love to know. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.